Hello, everybody! Live from the Xfinity Mobile Studio at the Owners Meetings in Phoenix. This is the PHLY Eagles podcast presented by Bet365 and Ashley, Bo Wolf, and EJ Smith. We are here on the scene at the Owners Meetings at the fancy, posh Biltmore Hotel. We got a lot to talk about. We talked to the AFC coaches today, insight from Mike Vrabel on the A.J. Brown situation. Talked to Andy Reid, talked to DeMeco Ryans, a couple other people. We are going to hear from Chad Graff, who covers the Patriots for The Athletic. His thoughts, the New England perspective on the A.J. Brown of it all. We're going to be joined by Jourdan Rodrigue of The Athletic to talk about just the general vibe here, you know, what the commingling of the hoi polloi with the billionaires has been like. And then Kalyn of ESPN is going to join us to talk about this situation that is brewing with heading into the season for the NFL, potentially with replacement refs again, which I think is a bit of a disaster for Eagles fans or NFL fans in general, but we'll play that down the line. We'll talk about some other Eagles things. And then later today, EJ, we are going to hear from Jeffrey Lurie, so we'll preview that a little bit. Good to see you. How you doing? Do you want me to join you in shades?
Yeah, I was hoping for a bigger reaction, so I'm going to do it again.
That feels better, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do it for the whole show? I'm not going to commit to the shades of the whole show. I'm not a big, I don't aura farm with the sunglasses necessarily. But, yeah, no, I am excited for the show. It's been a good, efficient 24 hours since the last time we spoke. Got a lot of news and nuggets. You've been killing it with the interview game. I just saw Shane Steichen walk by. He gave me a head nod. So, nice. Everything is good. Everything is good. We have a lot to discuss. Steichen. I don't think I've ever called him that.
Let's get into what Mike Vrabel had to say. Let's get to the big deal presented by our friends at Wawa and EJ. Let's sort of set the scene here. Yesterday we got the AFC Coaches Breakfast. We spent most of our time with Nick, obviously. At the end of that, I went around to try to get a few things, talked to Matt LaFleur about Sean Mannion. Today, you just posted up with Mike Vrabel for the entirety of the session. I was going around. How many other Eagles reporters were joining you in the Mike Vrabel scrum?
There were probably a half dozen at Mike Vrabel scrum the entire time. And yeah, I want to give a testament to you. I think we made a good team there. One of us was posted up, making sure to cover the news, and the other one, got to roam. I appreciated that. So yeah, we've got some fresh comments from Mike Vrabel on A.J. Brown and the A.J. Brown situation, the saga, whatever you want to call it. I think the quote that you're going to see most of the time with this is anything that we can continue to do to strengthen the roster, we're going to try to do. That was, in response to a direct question about if the door was still open for an A.J. Brown trade for the Patriots. And, Mike Vrabel mentioned the draft and free agency as ways for them to address that position and, address the roster. But, left the door open, I would say, for a potential A.J. Brown trade.
So the sense that you got, you think this is likely to happen? I know Eagles fans are tired of hearing about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. Chad Graff will talk about it a little bit. And I think you might be surprised by the turkeys that Chad Graff is going to put on A.J. Brown being an Eagle. Being a Patriot, rather.
Yeah, it's going to be high, right? I think the sentiment from Patriots reporters that I've gotten so far is mostly that they think it's a foregone conclusion. So, and who's to say that they're wrong? I think I'm very interested to hear what Chad says, just because I think the sentiment from Eagles fans is so, just there's so much, I guess, they're almost weary from this conversation. They're so tired of it. I think from the Patriots side, there's an excitement level to it. So I think that they have much more of an appetite for it.
Okay. Well, that's all you got from Vrabel? He was
asked I got plenty. Right? Yeah, I got plenty more of about Vrabel here. Sorry, that was the newsy one. He was also asked about, A.J. Brown's passion for wanting to be great, right? His, the intensity that comes from that. I think he was probably a little bit more specific at the combine when discussing A.J. Brown's personality and their connection. He kind of took more of a broad approach with the answer today, but I still think it's worth noting. So he said, "I love the relationship I have with my players on our team. and the ones on other teams that I've either coached or come in contact with. That's the beauty of this league. That's something that's special, that I have communications with a lot of those players. We all understand in professional sports, players that are talented and get to this level have some sort of ego to them, and there's a balance. They have to have that edge. So I think a coaching staff, whatever that is, you have to balance the edge and make sure that it's helping them. So, generally, again, speaking about A.J. Brown, but not specifically about A.J. there. If you're A.J. Brown, I think that answer is probably a window into what A.J. Brown appreciates about Mike Vrabel. And I would honestly probably say that he appreciates the same things about Nick Sirianni. I feel like I've been around him long enough to say that he also appreciates that Nick has that similar sentiment. I mean, Nick said something similar about Reek Willen yesterday.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And so what was the dynamic like with the New England beat reporters? Were you guys trying to outmuscle them? Was this revenge for the interloper in Howie Roseman's press conference the other day?
No, by the way, I just saw Mike Vrabel walk by. So, maybe he wants to join the show and tell us what he really thinks about the A.J. Brown trade compensation saga here. No, I think we actually were pretty respectful, especially as Philly reporters go. I thought we were pretty deferential.
There's an etiquette there. Yeah,
Yeah, we definitely let them. For instance,
I started with Andy, and there were like two Chiefs reporters there, and I could have just I sat down. I could have gone right in, but I was trying to let these guys get their questions in. You got to let them do their job. Yeah, although
everybody's got a job to do.
One local reporter there didn't get into 10 minutes later. It's very bizarre.
Ooh. Didn't get into asking a question or showing up in general.
Sit down. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, different markets are just different. That's fine. Yeah, I would say that we were deferential. They asked a lot of the questions about A.J. Brown. Right. They had interest in it and really the receiver position as a whole. Mike Vrabel did say it feels good about the receiver position, talking about the players they have already in the building for the record. But yeah, in terms of etiquette, I thought we were good. We all were around the fringes. We kind of kept the one spot at the table. I gotta say, Mike Vrabel, he definitely he seems like he has a good relationship with his the beat reporters on that team there.
Well, when you go to the Super Bowl in your first year, how could you have that relationship?
Yeah, but even he said he made sure to get the local reporters questions before he took questions from other people, and had a prepared. I mean, I don't know if it was prepared, but he made a point of expressing his appreciation for the local beat reporters, and he said in there we've had our spats. We sometimes have our arguments, so I appreciated that. I think it's always good for a coach to recognize the people that travel.
All right, let's close the book on the big deal presented by our friends at Wawa and put Mike Vrabel to bed. Although we will talk to Chad Graff in just a minute, EJ. Elsewhere on the AFC coaches front, asked Andy Reid about the possibility of a new stadium in Philadelphia, because I imagine that's going to be a topic for Jeffrey Lurie later today. And he said, he opened the link. He was there for, he was going on from Veterans Stadium, so he thinks the link is pretty good. But he says if it's a dome, it'll be a loud dome.
Yeah, that is the potential for the volume for a dome in Philadelphia would be pretty significant. I'm with Andy, though. I've said this on the show before. Our listeners won't be surprised, but I just hate this, callous, sort of detached approach with stadiums. I love a stadium that's got a history and some circumstance, some magic. When we were at Highmark Stadium last season, I was I can't believe they're just going to get rid of this place. It's it's okay to let something. It's a beautiful old stadium. Okay. Yeah, in Buffalo, Orchard Park, whatever you want to call it. There's something special.
Aren't paying you.
Yeah, and I remember I said this to Zach when we were there. I was why don't they just renovate this place? Why don't they just add seats, make it more modern? And he goes, well, it's cheaper to just build a new one than to renovate the old one. And it's that should never be your rationale. I feel fans have memories at these places. I don't know. I think that this turn over your stadium, tear a stadium down and just rebuild another one next to it every 20 to 30 years. I feel it lacks a little bit of the romanticized element of the game that I appreciate.
Talked to Jeff Hafley, the Dolphins coach, about Sean Mannion, and echoed the same thing that you hear. Everybody talks about how hard of a worker he is. He couldn't believe how hard this guy works, and said they became very close. And he downplayed the lack of time on task as a coach because of all the time he was in the NFL as a quarterback. My Jeff Hafley take I would say, looks the most like a state trooper of any current NFL.
Yeah, and that's topical because there's been some talk in the chat about my sunglasses making me look like a cop. I that's not what I'm going for. Needless to say, it's Jeff Hafley's haircut. I think that makes him look like a cop.
But for sure.
Yeah, Did you see the Jay Glazer?
He looks a little
video?
bit like Jim Carrey in Me, Myself, and Irene.
Hold on. Let's see. His hair, Jim Carrey's hairline in that movie was better, if I'm being honest. As a man who has a hairline that isn't perfect, I feel like I can say that. Speaking of strong hairline, though, have you seen Jalen Rose around the Biltmore Hotel here?
Rose?
Yeah, he's been around. You haven't seen him?
Seen him at all, no.
I've seen him a couple times. I gotta say, handsome guy. Like everybody knows he's handsome, but like seeing him in the flesh.
Well, speaking of handsome guys, I did also get to spend some time this morning with the most handsome. That's right, DeMeco Ryans. Talked to him about Jourdan Johnson and also Brandon Graham. Jourdan Johnson thing, DeMeco is going out of his way to talk about how good of a guy Jourdan Johnson is. Great family man, better than anything. He's a great person. But then he was asked, like, why did you move on? And he's like, sometimes we felt like a change of scenery was appropriate for CJ Stroud. So, there's a reason that Jourdan Johnson's available. It didn't always work out in Houston, but I think it's still, it's not like he's coming here to be the offensive coordinator. He's a good person to add to the staff. Yeah, and it's also probably important to note that like I can actually take DeMeco at his word there that you might have needed to turn over the staff in Houston because of the way that last season went for CJ Stroud, but it doesn't make Jourdan Johnson a bad football coach. And that was what Nick Sirianni really harped on yesterday, was that Jourdan Johnson is just a good football coach. All right. Let's move on. Here's what we're going to do. I got one for you. I saw this, and I apologize because I would like to credit the reporter while I do it. So I'm going to vamp here. Liam Cohen. Did you see this? That Liam Cohen said that he wanted to hire. So this is according to Ryan O'Halloran from the Florida Times Union. He reported that Liam Cohen said he tried to hire Josh Grizzard to the Jacksonville Jaguars staff, but that Josh Grizzard chose the Eagles staff instead. So another interesting note from the AFC coaches availability this morning. That's a good nugget. Yeah. All right. Here's what we're going to do. In just a minute, we are going to bring you Chad Graff from The Athletic, giving us the Patriots perspective on the A.J. Brown situation. We will go to break. After that, Jourdan Rodrigue is going to join the show to talk about just the general vibe here. And then we're going to hear from Kahler, who's going to tell us about this ref situation. And I should tell you before you listen to that the news has just come down that the NFL owners have approved the use of extra oversight from New York in officiating if, in fact, they do go to replacement officials this season. So keep that in mind when we have that conversation. And then stay tuned after that. EJ and I will be back with you for the later part of the show. So for now, let's hear from Chad Graff. Stay with us on the PHLY Eagles podcast. All right, we are here with the great Chad Graff, who covers the Patriots for The Athletic. Chad, first of all, thank you for joining me on this little makeshift stand-up.
Of course, I like this. What a day. Thank you for having me.
All right, Eagles, Patriots, linked all offseason long, and everybody's talking about the joint practices. That's what it's all about,
yes, right? Yes.
What did Vrabel say about A.J. Brown today?
He said a lot of nothing. He was asked a lot of times. He said a lot of nothing. He said the Patriots will look to strengthen their roster. He said we'll do that through a trade, through the draft, through free agency, whatever means necessary. So he danced around it, I think probably similar to Nick yesterday. But I think we all kind of know at least where this is headed, or at least where it seems to be headed, even if he didn't say a whole lot.
So you think this is leading to a trade?
I do. I would be surprised at this point if it doesn't happen. The Patriots did go out and sign Romeo Doubs to somewhat replace Stephon Diggs, but he's not quite that level of player. He's never had the production that Stephon Diggs did at 32 years old, coming off of a torn ACL. So unless the Patriots draft a wide receiver in the first round, I think A.J. Brown's definitely still on the table.
So we use percentages instead. We say turkeys.
Okay.
How many turkeys would you put on A.J. Brown being a Patriot?
What's the max turkeys?
100. Like
okay.
0 to 100.
I would say probably 80 turkeys.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots were just in the Super Bowl. Everything is going great for them. They have a great young quarterback that they want to build around. If you're going to go all in and make that kind of move, this is the time that you do it. Otherwise, they're going into year 3 with Drake May, who was an MVP candidate last year, and his number 1 wide receiver is Romeo Doubs. Like, I think he's fine, but man, that seems like a little bit of a disservice to a quarterback who has done this much already.
And so what do you think the price would likely be?
I think it's probably got to include the first-round pick of next year.
Right.
And then the question is, would the Eagles prefer a wide receiver? Like they have Demario Douglas on the roster. He's kind of a slot guy. Kayshon Boutte, he's more of the deep threat guy.
Okay.
Or do they just say, like, screw it, we don't need your players back. Give us the first-round pick and a third or fourth, whatever.
Like
that feels a little bit more to me. Now, I do wonder if the Patriots might be like, look around. What's your other option? We're the one that,
keep the player, I guess. But
that would be the other option. But we're the team interested. We're like at this point, it does kind of feel like they're the last team left standing at this dance, and we're just kind of waiting for June 1st.
And so, knowing Vrabel as you do over the past year plus, like his relationship with AJ, how much of a factor do you think that is?
I think it's a huge factor. He talked about it at the Combine. He talked about it again today. And it's not just that he has a relationship with him. Mike Vrabel's brought back a lot of players that he has a relationship with. He went to the Super Bowl this year by bringing back a lot of players that he has a relationship with. In free agency, he went out and signed Kevin Byard, who he has a really good relationship with. Like, he has leaned throughout this whole process on players that he has a relationship with. So again, all signs continue to point to AJ Brown.
And the the Patriots fans, knowing that AJ was a Patriots fan, how much is that like exciting them?
Every little thing that they can find that might excite you a little bit more, might, make you overcome. Hey, is he going to be in his 30s? Yeah. Is that a great time for wide receivers? No. But like, hey, he did love the Patriots when he was a kid. That's pretty cool.
Anything else on just the joint practice front or anything else Eagles related, do you think?
The joint practices are going to be awesome. It's going to be fat. Like, if AJ Brown is still true, if AJ Brown is still with the Eagles, that's going to be incredible. If he's like scoring touchdowns over the Patriots, like, hey, you guys didn't want to come get me, watch this. Or if he's with the Patriots and his very first joint practices, preseason games is against his old team, God, that's compelling theater too.
Do you have a Jonathan Jones take for us?
Awesome guy.
Okay.
Super, super fast. His game's been built on speed, straight line speed. Great guy in the locker room. Kind of an interesting backstory. I saw that he mentioned in the press conference with you guys that he likes to be a pilot and fly. So a really cool guy, awesome backstory. I'll be interested to see how his game translates now that he's in his 30s, because he's always been kind of that straight line speed guy. But a really good guy that I think the Eagles got.
How about Mike Pellegrino? What do we need to know about him?
I don't know a ton about him, so we'll see. You tell me in a couple of months when we're at joint practices how that's going.
And then last one, how happy are Patriots fans with Milton Williams?
Incredibly. And this goes back to last year. Everything worked to a T for the Patriots. That's how you get to the Super Bowl after winning 4 games the year before that, because there was a lot of risk when you bring in Milton Williams at the contract that they did, far outspending everybody else for him. That was a move for a guy who had never played 50% of defensive snaps that could have blown up in their face, and instead worked out really well. He's become a team leader, and he played way better than I think people expected for a guy who was really just a rotational guy with the Eagles.
All right, Chad Graff, there you have it. 80 turkeys on A.J. Brown going to the Patriots. Stay with us on the PHLY Eagles podcast.
If you love the NFL Draft, then this is your edge. The Die-Hard NFL Draft Guide is built and based off of thousands of hours of film study, being boots on the ground, Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, Combine, talking to scouts, talking to coaches, really getting a feel for where these players are best going to fit and project in the NFL. We're talking hundreds of players in this class.
There is no comparison. This is the best draft guide for Eagles fans. You get player comps, you get all the data, and you get Fran's insight. And here's the bottom line. There is nobody in the entire world who is better suited to be an NFL draft expert and an Eagles expert than my good friend, Fran Duffy.
All right, so what are you going to find in the guide? Well, you're going to find player comps. You're going to find strengths, weaknesses, physical tools, analytics, highlights, analysis from all across the space, everything you need to try and determine who are the best players for your team. You get access to the guide if you're a diehard, and you'll also get access to a couple of individual breakdowns I'm doing specifically for your team. All right, look, if you want surface level breakdowns, you can get them anywhere. But if you want independent thought, if you want thorough breakdowns on all of these prospects, become a diehard, get the guide. Or you can get access to the 2026 guide for just $26. Let's win draft season.
I'm here in Phoenix, and it is toasty here, to no one's surprise. And I'm wondering about how a place like this is keeping their AC working, and their HVAC, because if the heat and humidity is sneaking in, the AC might not be cranking like it should. But you don't need to worry about it if you've got our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services on speed dial. From AC repairs to water heaters, plumbing, and electrical, their trusted local pros bring the same helpful service you know from Ace to your home. Whether it's a quick fix or a bigger summer project, they've got the tools, the know-how, and the people to get it done right. Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful to your home. I love Ace Hardware Home Services. EJ loves Ace Hardware Home Services. We all love Ace Hardware Home Services for whatever you need help with in your home. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com today to get started and tell them your friends at PHLY sent you.
Look at us. Look at this setup at the owners' meetings. Bo Wolf and Jourdan Rodrigue, the great Jourdan Rodrigue of The Athletic. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but let's fill some content, I guess.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the Rams' interest in A.J. Brown?
Oh, you know what's interesting about the Rams is that they are known internally for going through like a lot of circular dialogue constantly inside their building. So they'll game theory out scenarios and they will talk through the ifs and whens and hows and all of these things, and then they'll sort of back off, right? And then they'll be back in, and then they'll be out, and then they'll be in, and then they'll be out. And it's really interesting because it's almost like depending on what day you talk to them, they're either stronger in or stronger out. Interest absolutely there.
Okay.
But
depending on what Puka has done off the field recently.
Sure. Depending on how can we send him a message somehow without actually talking to him. No, I mean, I think it's really interesting with them because I think a lot of teams are like this, but they are so interesting with how they do go. I liked how you put it, go all the way to the ledge and then immediately pull back because they're gaming out.
Peer over, see what it would look like, and then
they try to game out their scenarios as closely to what would actually happen as possible. So fascinating. I know they like him. I know that AJ and Matthew Stafford get along great. I don't think that any of this would come at the price that it sounds like Howie Roseman is asking people to pay.
And I think he would probably make them pay a premium because it's...
Yeah, and it's an NFC team, and they've been each other's thorn in the side for a couple of seasons now, and I just think, we've seen it happen before, but I would say pretty unlikely at this point. Now, with the Rams, I'm saying that today.
Yeah.
We're not on the edge of the cliff right now. Maybe, so it just kind of depends.
All right, let's get...
The light is really good for us right now,
and the
though.
reflection,
Have you noticed that?
I feel like what a shot.
Have you noticed that?
We have created here. This is fantastic. Let's talk about just the general scene here. And how would you describe, for people who, football fans, the intersection here of the billionaires, the coaches, and then us lowly journalists sort of intermingling together?
Yeah. I'm not in this tax bracket, as you know.
Yeah, I mean...
and I'm feeling like very aware when my face gets sweaty around people who don't seem to sweat.
Okay.
Now that's the billionaire bracket. The coach is very sweaty, right? All the coaches,
very sweaty,
yes. And there's a lot of extracurricular leisure activities happening. There's a great circular bar outside.
Yeah.
So, the coaches are going to probably sweat a little bit more.
Yeah.
But no, I always like when it's in Arizona at the Biltmore because
it's a home game for you.
It's a home game for me, and then it also is very, everything is one level. There's basically three places to lurk for the lowly peasants such as us in the media.
Right.
There are only a couple of places for us to lurk, and people are going to be there.
Yeah.
And one of them is outside the coffee shop. That's the one I like because I also run on caffeine outside the coffee shop.
Now, what's your go-to order, just to cut you off?
Just
Because
iced
EJ
coffee.
will say that he's a coffee snob. Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. And I'm actually kind of judging people who are walking around 97-degree weather with hot coffee.
Okay.
I'm like, guys,
I'm
they
with
make
you
it
on
with
iced
ice
coffee,
now. Did you know?
I'm with
you. But and then that's one of them. Circle Bar is another one. I don't go by the pool because I'm intimidated by that environment. But there's a lot of stuff happening usually over by the pool. And then also just all of these big
I've not been
lobbies
to the pool
and
either.
courtyards.
Are reporters mingling at the pool?
I don't know many. I think if you're like
That
really
is a
high
bold-
level,
that
it's
is
like
a
a high
bold-
level. It's a status symbol. I'm not. I would never.
Well,
but
if you are, this is also the
If you're like a very
the
high
stack
level-
rank of the reporters, where there are reporters who are really just part of the league infrastructure, as opposed to on the outside reporting the league. If that's fair.
Well,
you know what I mean.
You said it, I mean,
Right? I mean,
so I'll just let you dangle in the wind.
I think you know. I think you know that that's right.
Who, Bo? What do you? No, I think I do think though that this is one of those where it's cool because everybody's more laid back than you ever get them.
Yeah.
Right? This is always the. I have not yet started to worry too much about the draft unless you're the front office, or the draft board is already pretty much set if you're the front office. Everybody's seeing each other. Everybody's, a lot of the wives come, so it's everybody sees each other's wives, and they all get together, and it's just like a very before everybody starts wanting to rip each other's throats out kind of vibe.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I've always heard for years and years, and then as different GMs come into the league, new GMs come into the league, and different coaches come into the league, and new coaches, I always hear everybody's impression of Howie, because he's kind of one of the most tenured.
Okay, let's talk this. Yeah.
He's like one of the most tenured guys now. It's like him, Les Snead, Jason Light, Chris Ballard. Like they're kind of the lifers here, Howie, it's fun because everybody kind of knows him through these trade dealings, and everybody always talks about him, and John Schneider, obviously.
I was going to say,
John Schneider, can I just say?
This guy likes to party.
He's a vibe.
Yeah.
But he's like that consistently.
I agree.
It's not just winning the Super Bowl
No,
that's
I agree.
done this. He is consistently a vibe.
Yes.
Like, I feel like he probably, like other GMs and coaches probably feel like he's maybe the greatest hang in the league.
Okay.
Like, I do.
I think that's fair.
It's a hot
Howie
take.
would say that Schneider is like his favorite other GM in terms of like who he gives credit to.
But you know what? That's really cool because I think that him palling around with Schneider, people see that and they're like, man, that Howie's pretty chill too. And everybody gets
one thing,
but everybody,
and I think Howie would agree with this. The one word I would never use to describe Howie is chill.
But he's getting like the side benefit. He's getting like the clout from the chill clout.
Okay.
But no, the thing that I think is really funny is we always hear about how like he can be so aggressive in the trade dealings and he's always looking for like the extra edge and all of these things. He's super aggressive about it. And then when we come here, everybody's like, man, he's so nice. Oh, he's so, and I'm like, this is how he gets you.
Yeah.
He reels you
Well,
in.
he's been doing it for long enough and he knows how to play the game.
Yes.
It's also, that's an interesting part of the AJ thing. Like if you believe that something's going to get done with the Patriots and it's just going to end up being their future first and something else. Everybody knows that Howie's been asking for the moon. Can he afford to send the message to the rest of the league that he's actually willing to take less when he is known as this dogged negotiator?
I know, it's kind of a double-edged sword for him at this point. And the other part of it too is he can't not ask for the moon because then it's an insult to the player.
Yeah.
So he's put in a spot here. I don't pity him. He's making millions of dollars and one of the most successful GMs in NFL history.
Yeah.
But I do feel for the situation. I understand it's a tough spot to be in because yes, you do feel like you need to move the player. The player seems like he wants to be moved.
Yeah.
You don't want to necessarily competitively move the player, but then you also have to say, okay, well, I can't ask for less than absolute top value because then it's telling the player it's not. It's sort of lowering his status a little bit. And also, among all of these other guys, if you suddenly start asking for lower value than you're reputationally known for, what's wrong with them?
Right.
What's the problem?
Well, exactly right.
Yeah.
The other thing that I enjoy about the mingling is seeing a first-time head coach or first-time GM here.
It's the best.
Like getting, they're like a puppy dog,
I know.
and they're happy to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And then you see them 2 years later, and they're just so it's like the presidential aging. They're just like so over this whole thing to some degree. No, it's a fun little dynamic. And then you see a guy like Saleh who's now back.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like for him?
He's back at I think double his previous salary.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's awesome for him.
Okay.
And I think he seems very like he's always been really confident. But I like that he
misplaced perhaps. But.
He's a good coach.
Do we know that as a head coach?
He runs a hell of a defense.
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Okay.
So, but I think that it's funny because you get from all these guys have known each other most of them have known each other for so long. And then you get some of these guys who come in who basically have either worked under some of these other coaches or who grew up watching some of them.
Yeah.
We're at that stage right now where like the Clint Kubiaks, who yes worked for Kyle Shanahan for years and all of that, and also for Gary Kubiak for years. But he's like sitting down the row from Mike Vrabel, who he watched play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, who he's watched on TV, and like all of these things. And Joe Brady, who literally is, I think, 2 years older than me, and so is like
Flex.
I know I'm very young. And so, how are you feeling, by the way?
Oh, terrible.
Are you
about to turn 40? I feel awful. Oh my God. I got this mouth situation. It's awful.
I would imagine it would be crazy to look across and be like, oh, these are. I was talking with an executive just earlier today who said something really, I think, smart, that it's important for even the people who don't necessarily have a huge role to play in a front office or on a coaching staff. It is important, and certainly for these new head coaches, to come and see how the machine operates, and to come and see like how much bigger than your team all of this is.
That's true.
And you're at this resort, like the league hits you over the head with it.
I think that's right.
It's impossible not to leave here without some perspective.
The last thing I want to ask you about, which you can speak to better than anybody, is like those dynamics, right? Where there's the whole Shanahan McVay tree, and there's so like I don't know, half the head coaches in the league are connected in some way, right? And for a long time, Nick, I think, sort of bristled at that.
Yeah.
Like I don't get enough credit for what I have done. Where everybody's always talking about how smart these guys are. Well, I usually beat them.
Yeah.
Like where's my credit? And I think he sort of embraced that chip on his shoulder, but now
he hired one.
Yeah. And so it's not even like if I can't beat him, join him. It's like I could beat him, but now I kind of need him. And it's just a funny thing for Nick to now, you know what? As much as I want to stand on my laurels, and maybe this is not all Nick, maybe it's a little bit of Howie, maybe it's a lot of bit of Howie, but okay, now we got to sort of borrow from them.
I love how interested, you see it in action here, how interested Howie is in the football operation of everything. It's a really good eavesdropping place, I'll just say, and I really love how interested he is in and interested in learning every detail about the scheme.
On-field stuff included, yes.
That it is that the Eagles are about to try to run on offense.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Jourdan Rodrigue, check her out on The Athletic. If you want to like learn more about the system, what's the name of the podcast?
I forgot. No, go. No. Yes, it's been around. Yes, throw me a bone here, people. It's called The Play Callers. I made it a couple years ago with the great Mike Smeltz, and you could go learn about the system that Philadelphia Eagles will now be running and the history of it, which is very important because you're going to see, I think, a version of it that's more akin to the older version of it, but with more modern style of player, which I think is going to be really, really fun in Philadelphia. If it works, we'll see.
I like that. And don't forget about the NFL Daily podcast.
NFL Daily with the great Greg Rosenthal, who would kill me in my sleep if I did not mention that on this show.
Hi, Greg. Back on the PHLY Eagles podcast after this. It's March. It's almost April. And that means that we're all caught up in everything that's going on in the sports world. You got the tournament. You got the Phillies going on. You got the NFL draft season. And at Elkins Chevrolet, you know what you've got? You've got go time for real deals. 3 brothers, 1 promise. They treat you like a family and give you a deal that makes sense. Trucks, they got them. SUVs, they got those too. Payments that keep you in the game, absolutely. And because it's Chevy Truck Month, tax refunds are starting to hit. It's a great time for Philly sports fans to check out a new Chevy truck at Elkins. Get up to $7,360 in bonus cash on a new Silverado 1500. Contact Elkins Chevrolet today to see if you qualify for additional offers. And if you're thinking about making a move, make it to Elkins Chevrolet on Route 73 in Marlton. Elkins Chevrolet, real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of honking good service. Together with Elkins Chevrolet, let's drive. We all have a mystery, don't we? We like to follow a show, try to figure out what's going on. Well, you can take part in a mystery of your own with our friends at Rita's and the Mystery Peeps Ice. That's right. Peeps Ice is a springtime sweet and deliciously mysterious. Stop by and try it at your local Rita's and try and guess the mystery flavor on the Rita's website, and you can win free Rita's for a year. What a prize. Just go to ritasIce.com/peeps, and if you guess the right flavor, you'll have a chance to win water ice for the whole year. But you better hurry and get to Rita's to solve this mystery flavor before it's gone. Don't forget to download the new Rita's app. New app users will get a free small gelati, ice, or custard with their first purchase. Come on into Rita's and make this season the sweetest one yet with ice, custard, and guess what? A little bit of happiness coming your way. So treat yourself to a scoop of happiness today. Be cool. Go to Rita's and check out that mystery Peeps flavor. All right, we're continuing our series of interviews with this great lighting that we have here.
So good.
With the great Kahler of ESPN. Kalyn, how are you? This is a big, like, if you want to watch somebody do work this week, I feel like you are the one to watch. Because you are so good at just bothering people in such an awesome way as a reporter. You're the best.
Thank you. I feel like I haven't done enough of that this week, but I'll be back on it shortly.
Okay. I heard you did some good reporting about a bottle of champagne last night.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was crazy.
Good for you.
They told us that someone had opened a tap.
You gotta find out who.
Well, we did find out.
I know.
I found out.
Dogged reporter that you are.
Because I was like, we can't be accepting gifts from just anyone. There's journalism ethics, you guys.
Absolutely.
We have to be wary of where.
Now, this is not the place I would say, in general speaking, to feel good about journalism ethics.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not at all.
But I respect yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, I'm only saying because it's true.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the league potentially going down a self-destructive path here.
Yeah.
Which is potentially going to replacement refs again, which you've been writing about?
Yes. So on Monday, what day is it? No.
Today's
sorry,
Tuesday.
On Sunday.
Okay.
On Sunday, we spoke to several league sources who made it very clear that the league is preparing as if this CBA is going to expire with the officials without a new deal. Like, they are preparing as if they're going to have to, the officials are going to be locked out.
When is the deal set to expire?
May 31st.
Okay.
So exactly 2 months from today is when the CBA officially expires, and the negotiations, per the league sources that we spoke to, have gone so poorly that, and they characterize it as that they are not going well. And there's a lot of frustration. You can just tell from, and I've spoken to parties on both sides here. Like, I've talked to people with the referees union, I've talked to people with the league office, and the sense is there's a lot of animosity, there's a lot of frustration, and not a lot of actual negotiating going on. A lot of just, from what both sides have said, is like they don't seem to be listening to each other at all. And so because of that, the league office, the league sources that we spoke to said that the league's mistake, the last time that this happened when the officials were locked out in 2012, they have had a successful CBA since. It was a disaster. So their 2019 CBA was like a smooth negotiation, no big issues. 2012 CBA, the officials were locked out. They went with replacement referees, replacement officials, but the league did not start planning for that until July before that season. I think probably because they thought things would be resolved. And they weren't, and so they essentially didn't have a good enough or long enough ramp-up period to get these college, and in that case, some high school officials up to NFL speed. And I'm not even sure if it's actually possible to get them up to NFL speed, even with this timeline of starting now, because they are starting now. They have put the feelers out. They are going to start conditionally hiring people in May. In May, they're going to start putting out conditional offers.
Scabs.
Yes, and they're going to start training these replacement officials even before this deal expires. They can't actually pay them until this deal expires, but they can put out these conditional offers. They can get them onboarded. They can start introducing them to concepts and things like that. So the league is really operating under this mindset that this is not going to be bad. However, I realize that's leverage.
Right, and their bet, it seems like, based on some of the rules proposals, is they can mitigate having a lower quality ref by having more league involvement in the games, right?
Yeah, and the owners are probably, I'm assuming that's going to pass unanimously.
Especially with the possibility that they might have to use replacement refs.
Yeah, and so they'll be voting on that this afternoon to pass that, and what it would mean essentially is it's a pretty broad rules proposal as it's written. It literally just says to give the officiating department more oversight in clear and obvious mistakes, I think is what it says. Like the ability to essentially, if a flag is thrown and it's obviously wrong, pick that flag up, move it along. Or if, just to be able to honestly reverse decisions from New York that are wrong, because you are going to have a lot of wrong judgment calls from officials that are not used to working at NFL speed. This is a really hard, the reason why there's so many complaints and criticism about NFL officiating is because it's extremely hard, and there's never going to be perfect officials. But what the NFL wants in this negotiation is more ability to get rid of the poor performing officials, or to what they'll say is continue to train and develop them. But what they really mean is they want to be able, they want to be able to put them on a PIP, and they want to also have another year to just fire them without showing cause. So just to be able to get rid of, because they rank the officials in 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, based off of their evaluation system of how they perform. And the tier 3 officials, from the league sources I spoke to, they genuinely believe if they can either improve the tier 3 officials by offering them more training and development during the dark period, which we're in right now, where as their part-time jobs, like the NFL is not, they're not able to require the officials to work right now. So they can't require an official to go work in a spring league. They want to be able to require an official to go work in a spring league to improve their performance. This all sounds like great, but it's also just like giving the officials less of an ability to save their jobs or to actually continue in their jobs because they don't have access to the grievance process in the probationary period, which is now 3 years. The NFL wants to add a 4th year to it. Anyway, so the NFL is talking, league sources are talking a lot about how they just want to improve the quality of officiating. That's all they're trying to do. But obviously this comes down to money. It's really about money. Because the NFL Referees Association wants a pay increase. They want a pay increase that is on the level of what officials in other professional sports are making. And they...
Now, that doesn't sound crazy to me.
It doesn't. And
but the question that everybody always asks is why not just make them full-time?
And I agree. I think optics-wise, the league should just do that because then we would all just stop talking about it. And even if it doesn't improve the equality, which it wouldn't, it would improve the equality likely, but it would not create a perfect officiating system. That's never going to exist. There's always going to be errors on the field that are going to be dramatic because it's such a fast-paced game and the stakes are so high and things are happening in such a tiny minutia. You got to make decisions in a split second. So. It's never going to be perfect, but I would just do it for the sake of like, okay, you guys wanted this, we did it. But it is more complicated.
Want to be full-time?
That's a complicated question because
there's some of them who have like high-powered lawyers. Or whatever
and the league in the league's current proposal, league sources said they have put on the table to make the 17 referees full-time employees, and they would travel to New York on Tuesdays from wherever they live, which is all over the country, and they would like meet with the officiating department, league office people, hash that out, and study and whatever, and then they would go back to their crews on Saturday when they get to their game site on Saturdays, and they would go over everything. And that to me sounds like a great idea. However, you run into an issue from a union perspective of if you make the referees full-time employees, are the referees now management? Are the referees out of your bargaining unit? So for that reason, I think there is probably going to be pushback on that simply because does that take them out of your bargaining unit? Does your union then lose power? Possibly. So that's that's a layer there. But then also, most of these referees, I think the average compensation for a game official is $350,000. Now, obviously, this varies based on how many years you've been doing the job.
For the head ref or
for any position.
Right.
Now, referees make, I think it's like this. Don't take this as actual fact here, but my brain is telling me $20,000 more than other positions is what the referees get. It's not a huge.
That's not crazy.
It's not a huge increase over the other positions. So, a lot of these guys have jobs that are very lucrative in other fields. They are lawyers. They're own their own businesses. They're like CEOs of businesses. They're doing a bunch of other stuff that is making them probably more than their NFL officiating career. So I think you run into that issue of, are these guys going to want to give up their other jobs? Can the NFL afford to pay them at a rate where they will agree to give up their other jobs in order to do this full time? Now, I also think like there's this whole thing about like, oh, they only work 2 days a week. Like someone from the league office literally said that.
Well, that's my
night.
question is
and it's such a myth. Like that's not true. They are working way more than 2 days a week during the season.
It's like saying coaches only work.
Like they travel. It's true that they only spend like one to 2 nights a week on the road per week. That's true. But they are watching film. They are studying the team they have next. They're watching the past game to see what mistakes they made, where they could have been better. based off of the feedback they get back from the officiating department. So it's not like they just show up and they're like, cool, we got a game today, let me put my uniform on 30 minutes before the game. They are doing a lot of work
Is that how
ahead
the
of
league
time.
positions not
Yes.
having them be paid as,
Exactly.
I mean, it's the most lucrative sports
Yes.
league in the country.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't it be the most lucrative refs?
Exactly, and they'll say, well, you don't work that many games.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you don't work that many games, but they work all the games. There's just less games because of the nature of NFL players are not making, well, I guess they are kind of making less money than baseball players.
They are. Yeah. And basketball.
So, but it's like, they're working the full inventory of what you're asking them to do. And I don't think personally, from what I know about officiating, I don't think it will be hard to fill their time at all.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very easy to be like, all right, here, you're going to do this many hours of film study. You're going to do this many hours of virtual reality. Are they using virtual reality? Quarterbacks are using virtual reality to not, like, I was just talking to a college quarterback the other day who, big flex, who literally just does this at home all the time. He puts it on. He sees their own practice film. It's like so cool. Like, you could be doing that with officials, easily doing that with officials. You could be having them, study rules together.
Yeah.
Like, the rules are the hardest part. And any official, when you talk to them, they'll say you're not a good official till your 5th year. And that's also an interesting point, because one of the sticking points in this negotiation too, to get really in the weeds, is that the league wants the ability to have a first-year official be in the Super Bowl if they're good enough.
Oh, okay.
Because
now
you have to be,
of the union doesn't like that.
Yeah, right now you have to have 3 years to be eligible for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it might be 2 years to be eligible for the postseason. It's either 2 or 3 years to be eligible for the postseason.
That feels like a fair ask if the guy's that good, or woman.
But how often is that happening?
Exactly.
Let's be totally honest.
Right.
Like, you might
It's unlikely.
You might be great, but like,
you get a phenom though. Why not?
I mean, maybe, right? And they'll say, well, why you wouldn't prevent Patrick Mahomes from being in a Super Bowl?
Right.
It's like, but like, anyways, I don't know. Just from what I know about officiating, I'm like, it's a silly sticking point on both sides. I think, because like, who cares? Put the best people in the playoffs if they've actually graded out to that degree. And but that's the other issue. The referees that I've ever spoken to and the officials I've spoken to, common complaint is they don't like their evaluation system. They don't think it's transparent enough. They don't know exactly what they're being graded on. And also, the leadership of the officiating department has turned over like 3 times in the last, I think, 7 years. And every time it turns over, they change the grading. They make changes to the evaluation system where the officials never feel they know exactly what they're supposed to do.
All this time.
Right, and then, the points of emphasis come out every week during the season where they're like, well, actually, now we don't want you calling this penalty anymore. And then it'll change the next week. Oh, actually, we do want you calling this penalty. So it's always difficult for the game officials to feel like they can keep up with like what they're supposed to be doing. And then every crew, to get really in the weeds, every referee has a different philosophy. Some of them want to call every foul. Some of them just want to call the big fouls. And sometimes that philosophy comes from the leader of the officiating department, and then that's always changing too. And that's why you see some years, like there was the year where there was the, I think it was last year, the rise in offensive offsides because of the tush push. But they were calling offensive offsides that didn't even make sense. And then they realized, oh, wow, we just negated a play that it had nothing to do with that one receiver being a toe over the line of scrimmage. Like, now what? Okay, now we're going to ignore this for the rest of the year because everybody got mad about that. So it's always changing. And so, that's why the whole thing is so complicated, because a lot of officiating is sort of subjective, and the grading is subjective. And then when you're trying to codify the grading because you have a CBA, it gets really difficult. And then, so I don't know how much the viewers really care about this stuff, but you will care when they're locked out.
Exactly.
Well, you'll care when they're locked out, and you'll know, I guess, what got us to this point. But I will say, as I've been trying to talk to, the last thing I'll say before I go back in there and try to talk to people is, as I've been trying to get more info on this, coaches will not talk about it because they issued a gag order. The league issued a gag order and said everyone's prohibited from speaking about this. But as I've just kind of been talking to people like owners, I've talked to a few owners, and Jed York was on the record, and he was like, he's like, I don't know anything about this. I trust the league. And I've heard that same thing from a few people, which, like, sure, it might be the party line, but like also I do think there's like, and a league source told me this, there isn't like a panic about going to replacement officials because they do feel they have a way better plan this time around, and they have the technology so many more cameras, and they have this ability to like be in their ear from the league office that they didn't have the last time around.
Rodrigue gonna be reffing the games himself.
Yeah. So I will say, like, I don't know, and again, it could be a total leverage play so that the officials don't have the leverage of the 2012 fear. But I'm not getting the sense that there is a fear of 2012 because I do think the league office has sold this to the owners of like, we got it. We got it covered this time. Like, and literally a league source was like, you're not going to notice a difference between. And I was like, okay. Like that to me was
that's a little bit
ridiculous. I was like, that's actually a ridiculous statement.
I have a quick non-ref question. As you follow these league stuff and with all the owners, what's your sense of how involved Jeffrey Lurie is and like what his sort of power role is in all of these
among
things?
Ownership?
Yeah.
I have no idea, actually.
Okay.
I wish I did. I feel like he's kind of a big deal. I don't know though.
I think there are certain sections in which
I don't even know what
he likes
committees
to,
he's on. Do you know what committees he's on?
No, but he's all about 18 games. He's all about international games, growing the game. Those are his big pet projects.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I only know that the tush push is going to be okay.
Amen to that.
We're gonna let the natural order of football work that one out.
There we go.
As we should have last year.
That's right. Kalyn, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Great insight. Back with more of the PHLY Eagles podcast. It is time to make your home work smarter, not harder. With the TrueMark Financial Home Equity Line of Credit, you can tap into your home's equity to handle renovations, upgrades, or whatever is next on your list. TrueMark Financial HELOC Select gives you the flexibility to borrow when you need it on your timeline. You start with a revolving line of credit, use only what you need, and when you're ready, you can lock in all or part of your balance at a fixed rate for predictable payments. You only pay interest on what you use, and as you pay it back, that credit becomes available again, no reapplying, no extra steps. With competitive rates compared to most unsecured loans and flexible repayment options, this could be a smart move for your home and your wallet. Learn more about TrueMark Financial's home equity line of credit at TrueMark.com or stop by one of their 24 branch locations to get started. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 404938. Spring has officially sprung, and while we want to enjoy all the nice weather and check out the blooming flowers, you know what that also means? It means that pest season is right around the corner. Ants, spiders, bees, mice, other unwanted pets become much more active this time of year, making now the perfect time to protect your home. That's why our friends at Evans Pest Control are running a spring sales event for new customers. If you're new to Evans Pest Control, you can get 5% off general pest control services when you book your first treatment. All you have to do is use the promo code SPRING5 when you schedule your service. This offer runs from March 15th through May 31st, and it applies to standard general pest control treatments designed to help your home and keep it protected from common seasonal pets. Just mention or enter the code SPRING5 when booking to receive 5% off your service. Learn more at evanspestmgmt.com and tell them your friends at PHLY sent you. All right, baby. We're back on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Bo and EJ. EJ, how you doing? We braved a brief little rainstorm there.
Yeah, I mean, it was no big deal. I'm under an umbrella. You know, I'm planned ahead, doing well. I got to say, you know, I've said it before. I feel like every offseason event I'm going to be saying this. You know, Bo Wolf, your favorite reporter's favorite reporter. Great work by you. Great conversations. And again, I mean, what a lineup. So shout out to you.
Chad and Jourdan and Kalyn. Great trio. Great insight from all. So we're going to hear from Jeffrey Lurie in a little bit, EJ. Could be 3 hours from now, could be 6 hours from now. What are you expecting to hear?
You know, I'm not expecting to hear like major news today. You know, I'm not expecting, you know, big stadium announcements, or there's not really like a big player announcement that you would expect from him. You know, there's not like that notable retirement that we've had in years past. I think he's going to talk about an 18-game, well, maybe not talk about an 18-game season. I think your point with Kalyn is right, that is something that's on his mind, but maybe he has to be careful about that. I think that's the nature of this, though. I think there's going to be a lot that he can't say much about. I think he'll probably love talking about the international games, you know, how important it is to grow the game. But yeah, there's not that like one big newsy thing that we're going to hear from Jeffrey Lurie about this time.
It's too bad. Maybe he'll surprise us.
I mean,
never
there's
know.
still going to be plenty. Yeah, maybe. I think there's going to be plenty to still hear from him about. I'm very curious to hear what he says about the way that the offense looked last season, the new offensive staff that's put in place. We all know that he has a vested interest in the way that the offense looks and, wants it to look a certain way. I think what he says about Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's going to say much about A.J. Brown, but I think, you have to ask the question. It'll be good to hear what he has to say about that. So it'll still be an important press conference, but, yeah, I'm not expecting to, be frantically posting something on the other side of this one.
Okay, so we will have you covered with whatever comes from that on our PHLY channels, and then you and Les are going to be back tomorrow to unpack some of the bigger picture stuff that comes out of that. Thank you for doing that. Speaking of press conferences, some questions about the Brandon Graham mystery press conference, CJ. You got any insight there?
Yeah, I don't think that this has anything to do with the roster move. I don't think that this is going to be about Brandon Graham playing next year. I think it's safe to say that. I think that that's to be determined. I do not think that there's a big announcement that impacts Brandon Graham's status going into next season coming today.
I think that's probably right. We'll see what happens. All right, what did you think of the party last night? And if we ever put this vlog together, I'm going to repeat a joke, but came pretty close to touching some ass last night, PJ.
I really don't like this joke. I came pretty close to touching the donkey that they had in attendance at the party. They usually like to have some kind of like animal attraction at these parties.
I know you were touching ass, man.
I love most animals. Unlike you, that's not one of my red flags. So I did not touch the donkey as much as I wanted to. There were like actual kids that wanted to touch and pet and feed the donkey. So I mostly just appreciated the donkey's presence. Olivia Reiner, friend of the show, did feed the donkey though. So I got a video of that.
What do you think the purpose was of the donkey? I guess just to entertain the kids.
I think it's like a billionaire flex. It's like if you're having a party, why not?
Billionaire flex.
The petting zoo a couple years ago was absolutely a billionaire
I feel like
flex.
a billionaire flex is a horse. I mean, a donkey. Anybody can get a donkey.
I don't know about that. I mean, I certainly can. It was a fun party though. Enjoyed seeing everybody. Got some good FaceTime. Got some good food.
Nuggets. You get any sights or sounds that are worth passing along? I could say I did notice late in the night, Julian and Jeffrey spending quite a bit of time with Rodrigue.
I did notice that as well. I'm not. This isn't quite maybe a nugget. I think it's a good tease for tomorrow's show. A conversation I enjoyed having that you may or may not have been a part of is like who's going to be the next like wave of the core four. Who are those players that are going to become the spokespeople for this next wave of Eagles players? And I'm going to tease it. We'll talk about it tomorrow with Les. Maybe if you want to give your opinion on it, I have some names here, but. I thought that was a fun conversation last night that, it's kind of those players who are shaping up to be, the players that are kind of like those natural replacements for Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, and Jason Kelce.
I think there are 6 candidates in my mind for 4 spots.
I've written down, yeah.
So Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Jourdan Mailata.
Yeah, I had 6 too, and it's Jourdan Mailata's birthday today. That was going to be my plan, my hook into this is that Jourdan Mailata's birthday, and it's starting to feel like he is turning into that core member for sure.
And then Jordan Davis,
yep,
Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell. Now Quinyon may not be the outspoken person here, but I think you can make a case that he might be the guy who's going to last the longest.
So I think you just did 7. Math is not my strong suit.
That was 6. 3 on offense, 3 on defense.
Okay. I put Jalen Carter in there over Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell, mostly because I really wanted to let all the players in this, I wanted them to be a little bit older, guys who will be retirement age around the same time. So I think Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell both have very bright futures, but the phases that Mailata, Jordan Davis, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts are in, it's all kind of aligned.
Well, why don't we continue this conversation, EJ, in owner time.
You did it. I was surprised I didn't know if you were going to do that.
Jourdan. Happy birthday.
Yeah, 29 today.
Hopefully he gets some Maccas or some HJs.
Some H. You got any good party stories? Anything from the party?
Let's see. Trying to think. Not really.
What about the water lady? Were you there for the water lady?
Oh yeah, that's right. The water. This was very funny.
You should tell us.
It was with a group of reporters. Who took the first water?
I don't think we should say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't a league person, was it? There was another reporter.
No, I mean, no. It was a league person.
Anyway,
yeah.
It was later in the night. Most people were getting after it to some degree, so waters were, a hot commodity. And a woman carrying a tray of, some water bottles was walking by, and one of the people we were talking to grabbed one, and you could tell that the waitress was not happy about that.
You could tell. I couldn't tell.
It felt like this is like a past hors d'oeuvres at a wedding situation. These seem like they're fair game. EJ grabs another one.
No, I go like, you know what? I'm gonna grab one of those too.
And she just about bit your face off. Gave you the nastiest look that I've ever seen you get. She was furious. She was like, bringing these to someone else.
She's very unhappy. And you guys all know me. I'm not the type of person that wants to upset anybody. So I was very surprised. I didn't know that she was mad about the first person taking the water. I had no idea.
Oh man, she like knives coming out of her eyes, just piercing you. That was nuts.
And you know what? Like, I actually understand it from her perspective. Like, she's probably taken water to some very important person's family, right?
They weren't that important. Nobody here is that important.
She's got, okay, whatever.
Hey,
she's got 5 bottles of water.
I want you to hear this, EJ. There's nobody here who is more important than you. Do you understand
I appreciate that. But, at the very least, like the status of whoever that water was destined for.
By this caste system that they are trying to foist upon you, okay? You are of equal, if not greater value than everybody else here, okay?
I think that was a nice pep talk, but you understand that, like, she probably had somebody who was perceived to be important to bring 5 bottles of water to. She turns up with 3. She's gonna get in trouble. She's gonna get flagged. I mean, we asked for 5 bottles of water. I get it from her perspective. So I'll put the hand up on that.
I don't think she was asked for 5. I think she was over delivering.
So that's what I messed up. I messed up her over delivery. I get it.
Fine. I would then watch to see where she went. No big deal. Nobody yelled at her.
Yeah. But listen, I get it. We all have a job to do. That's what I always default to, right? We all got a job to do.
All right. Well, good stuff today, EJ. Good stuff here.
Good stuff to you. Great stuff. Appreciate all the guests. It was good insight. Can I say one thing about the replacement refs before we get out of here?
Yeah, please.
It's just like, it's crazy to me. The idea that the NFL is more focused on like saving money in this very in the grand scheme of the finances, it's a very minuscule thing for them. And in the grand scheme of like the integrity of the game, like the whole thing, the foundation of the sport, it's like, can we save a little bit of money here and risk that? It's insane to me, the level of prioritization. I think it's Seth Wickersham that refers to NFL teams as $1 billion lemonade stands. And that's all I could think about. It's just like these guys, man, like priorities have to be in place.
Yeah. I'm willing to wait a little bit on this one because there is a long lead up here. Even if the thing expires May 31st, this is leverage for them to put these plans into place. If they actually enter the season, then I think they are cutting off their nose to spite their face, and it's a little bit.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, he won't notice a difference. Good reporting from Kalyn.
And a great handle on all of the different dynamics.
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
It felt like she was like venting to you about all that she had heard, almost. Like it felt like she needed to like talk it through with somebody. So,
anybody wants to come on the show and vent, I'm happy to have.
Absolutely. Oh, one last thing.
Okay.
I wore a T-shirt and blazer to the party last night.
Yeah.
And one Zach Berman was very upset that you had nothing to say about that. Thank you. I thought so too. But then my favorite part about the story, so Zach was definitely a little upset that you didn't have a comment. You didn't bring it up on the show. I brought it up just now. But Zach Berman turned up today in a T-shirt and blazer combo, which means I'm a trendsetter, trailblazer. I forged the path for Zach to start wearing it again, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I don't know that there are a lot of fashion similarities between the two of you, but I'm glad that he was able to.
I think there are similarities in other avenues, but yeah, I don't know if we dress the same.
You're certainly not shopping at the same places.
That's not nice for either of us, but yeah.
Well,
you know what? I really am a trendsetter because glasses for the show today.
That's
You're
true.
just saying. Yeah. I think it was a good look. Yeah, absolutely. Coined it, as the chat has pointed out.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you to Lindsay for putting it all together on the back end. We will be with you tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, EJ and Les. And also we'll have you covered from everything you need to know about Jeffrey Lurie on our PHLY channels today. Thank you again to Chad and Kalyn and Jourdan. Thank you, EJ, for all of us here at the Biltmore, including Jerry Jones, Josh Harris. We should ask Jeffrey about the Epstein files.
You can.
Inappropriate, I guess. Anyway,
maybe not in that time.
That's all we got. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And as always, good luck.
We all silly like the mayor.